Hello, this is Igoro, host of the Igoro Show, and you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Hey, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, presented by thestevestrout.com. I'm Steve.
I'm Crypto Zoo. We may be a little late, but we're here, and it's episode 58. And if you're listening, we want to say thank you. We love you like we always do. We appreciate you guys following what we got going on over here at the Steve and Crypto Show. If you like what you've been hearing, you can head over to our Buy Me a Coffee page at buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto, which basically is a place where you can throw us a little tip, just a little thank you. It helps to, just make the show better. It helps to improve our gear, improve everything that we do over here for our show and for you. So we thank everyone who has contributed so far. You can also go to our Facebook group. We have a new group on that kind of it's a hub where we can throw all kinds of random things in. We of course we throw in things that we got going on for the show, but we can kind of just plaster pop culture stuff in there, old, videos, whatever, funny little things, segments. I mean, we talked about the robot. Yeah. Just come there and be nerdy. I mean, we talked about the whole robot chicken who killed Santa Claus thing. I threw that clip in there. So if you actually want to see it, you can go to the Facebook page, go to the group, and also be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on the Steve Strout and CryptoZoo88.
We're everywhere, and we now have a Patreon page for the show. So if you're a regular listener and want to become a regular supporter, head over to patreon.com/Steve Crypto and get on board there. We plan on doing some fun stuff there. We literally just launched and people are already interested in it. So we're going to do some things kind of not very too far away from what we do here, but do it a little different. We're going to try to do at least a monthly exclusive episode for patrons over there. And just talk about all kinds of different things. Like our first drop is going to be, I have a special guest. I actually brought my fiance on, and we talked about games because we keep mentioning on here that we want to talk about games, like board games and stuff. And we're going to talk about, games, video games. We're going to talk about everything. We'll probably do things like put little bits of conversation that don't make the main show, because sometimes we get rambling about some shit on here. And we talk about some outlandish, crazy stuff, and it might borderline on crude or offensive, but I think our patrons, the Patreon subscribers, probably appreciate that about us, so they'll get some treats.
And if you want to hear more hatred of Zack Snyder, you know just where to go.
Yeah, there you go. Support my hatred of Zack Snyder. We're gonna do other things. We'll probably do like some giveaways and stuff. Like down the road, we'll probably set up more tiers, but right now it's just kind of name your own, contribution price and do it up, and we'll try to get you some more fun content over there. And patreon.com/Steve Crypto. And you mentioned this is episode 58, kind of late. What did we do on 57?
Episode 57 was part one of our conversation with Ace Von Johnson, who is the guitarist for LA Guns, and he is currently with a band called Neon Coven, which actually you're going to hear a song from in the end of this episode, which is part two.
Actually, it's right at the beginning. It's going to be right at the beginning of the conversation. We're going to kick it off and play
look
some
at that.
Neon Coven.
Okay, cool. We're not going to make you wait on that one.
Nope.
So But yeah, in the last episode, we talked with him about, LA Guns, the new
Their
record.
album. Yeah.
The new album.
The good
Played a really good song from that new album. Just talked a little bit about, of course, like COVID and how things have affected him and whatnot. And so in this new episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about Neon Coven and his love of horror. So, I'm pretty excited for you guys to hear that, because I mean, of course, we specialize in horror content over here. So, I mean, I'm a musician. I liked talking music with him, but I was really interested in hearing like what lane he was kind of going in when it came to horror, because you can say, oh, I like horror, but like we all kind of have certain niches within that umbrella that we're really into, right. Like Steve might be more into the classic, more like classic Universal monsters, things like that. I'm really into 90s slashers and that sort of thing. So
yeah, he told us quite a bit about his poster collection. He has a great classic horror poster collection, and he talked a bit about his Pitbull advocacy. He's and just animals in general. He's all for keeping them in homes and getting people away from the misconception that they're shitty pets. You know what I mean? They're some of the best breeds of dogs out there, and he loves them. And he tells us about some great organizations and stuff to help teach people and fun keeping these dogs out of shelters and getting them homed and stuff. And he's a good dude, and he talked about a lot of cool stuff. He does a lot of cool stuff, like you mentioned. LA Guns is a multi-platinum legendary band from the 80s. His other band, Neon Coven, which will play, like you mentioned, play a song by them. We're going to play part 2 of the interview. We did pre-record it, so you hear some things. We mentioned the Joe Bob Ruins Christmas episode, which was like the weekend that we were speaking to him to record this interview. And we did have a couple. I had a couple internet issues that kind of caused some glitchy audio, so you might catch a weird spot or two in there, but shit happens. It was still an awesome conversation, fun talking with him. But I did mention the Joe Bob Ruins Christmas thing was a couple weeks ago. It's worth mentioning that when he does that show, he does like a telethon, and they raise money for charity. And they raised, Joe Bob Briggs Last Drive-In raised over $112,000 for a couple charities, which was amazing. And even cooler if you add what our friends over at Fright Rags helped raise through sales and stuff. They did a total of over $156,000. And they did that in like a really short time. So that's pretty awesome. This is like the whole mutant fam coming together and doing some good, because we are a bunch of fucking weirdos, but we also care and
weirdos with big hearts.
Weirdos with big hearts.
Big bloody gushing hearts.
And it's definitely worth mentioning right now, Fright Rags is in the middle of their year-end inventory blowout sale. So there's going to be a ton of stuff like super cheap, like some starting around $10. So you got like t-shirts, hoodies, activity books, those awesome lounge pants they always have that never fit my fat ass, socks, hats, all kinds of shit, all crazy markdown prices. It ends Sunday, January 2nd at 11:59 p.m. And then I guess they're going to start shipping it all on the 3rd. So get an order into them. And you can, which Crypto will mention in a moment, we do still have our discount code, which is good till December 31st, Crypto 10. Use that when you go on there and get on the sale and get you some extra deals. Remind them about crypto. Remind them about Fright Rags.
Well, I can say, we're a few days past Christmas now. The holiday season is past us. So I know a few of you, may have got a couple doll hairs from your grandma or your grandpa or your parents or whoever. So what better thing to do than to turn around and throw that money at Fright Rags?
Get on the sale.
That's right, because they've been bringing the best in horror apparel and accessories since 2003. Hell of a long time. Offering a wide range of products for your favorite creature features, slasher flicks, and cult classics. Collections include John Carpenter's Halloween, Universal Monsters, Night of the Living Dead, Creepshow, Twin Peaks, Evil Dead, and so many more. All officially licensed and available soon or right now at fright-rags.com. Steve and Crypto Show listeners get 10% off when they use code CRYPTO10. That's one word, CRYPTO10 at checkout. So make sure you go over there, check out that end of the year sale. I mean, they got all kinds of goodies over there of all different, from all different horror titles. I mean, whatever you can think of, there's got to be at least one item.
Something there for you. Yeah.
Yeah. From Nightmare on Elm Street to Jaws to Chucky to Killer Clowns to Evil Dead. I mean, all kinds of stuff.
I mean, not sure what out of that list was on sale.
Exactly.
No year-end blowout, but
whether it's on sale or not,
quickly,
you're gonna want it.
I looked through quickly some of the stuff they had, and they had some cool shit at like super cheap. So get on it, do it up. But right now, let's get to part 2 of our chat with Ace Von Johnson.
Hello, patients. This is your friend, Dr. Dread.
Okay.
We are from Dr. Dread Reviews. But right now, you're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show.
Steve and Crypto.
Back to the Steve and Crypto Show.
Then we're going to talk about the other band he's currently playing with called Neon Coven. They're a new, I've heard a little, what I've heard by him, it's a more modern rock. It kind of got like a little industrial kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
But it appeals to people like me who grew up listening to like that 80s, hair metal and rock scene. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It appeals. It's like a multi-generational appeal, I think. And how did this band come together? How did this happen?
Neon Coven almost started as I hate to say it. It basically started as a not necessarily a joke, but like almost as a dare. And I mentioned LA Guns doing the Monsters of Rock cruise and coming up next year, and I performed on those things repeatedly with Faster Pussycat over the years. And about 6 years ago, 5, 6, I can't remember now, it's all a blur, but 5, 6 years ago, some of the guys on the cruise and myself, who were all already friends, the woman who runs production for this festival, she joked, she goes, you guys, you and you are all like the young guys in each of the bands that you're in. You guys should start a boy band. And we were like, yeah, we could do that. Like, ha, ha, ha. And then the cruise was over. And then eventually we all got up to met up to get dinner at the Rainbow in Hollywood. And we just were like, hey, why not, take the challenge and put a band together. And we found a drummer through our singer and one of his projects, a guy named Kyle Cunningham, who's fantastic. And my singer, Anthony Montemano, and our main songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist, Jacob Bunton, and myself put this band together. And we basically said, everybody's going to expect us to sound like, because Jacob plays in the band Adler with Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses. And he, before it's after the fact, but most recently he sang on the album from Mick Mars from Motley Crue's solo album that's yet to come out, and a bunch of other stuff. So I said, look, you're this guy from this band, I'm this guy from this band. Everyone's going to expect it to sound like, some third-rate hair metal band. And none of us really wanted to do that. We wanted to think outside the box and, do something original and unique. We just didn't want to be like some, copycat glam band, like a lot of these sort of younger bands I see where they're trying to look and dress and sound sound like it's still 87, because it's not. Even though I say that, even though the album it sounds very 80s. But, it was more that we were trying to pull influences outside of what we were known for doing. Mostly Nine Inch Nails, Depeche Mode, Typo Negative, even some really synth heavy stuff like Kaja Gugu, and there's some Oingo Boingo in there, Concrete Blonde, just like a lot of 80s, like what I would just consider 80s alternative. And I don't mean like 90s grunge alternative, I mean like 80s alternative. And we just threw some music together. We put out an EP and it charted. And then there was this expectation for us to like go out and tour and play. And we did a couple shows, but nothing really serious. We put out another EP, and then, Future Postponed, which is now roughly a year old. It came out last November, which the song I sent you, Dead to Me, is from. That was our first full length. And we really put a lot of time in that and worked the singles as much as we could, considering it came out at the height of the pandemic. And again, some of the songs kind of got on the, Billboard like 199, like barely made a dent, but they were noticed or whatever. And I mean, I'm not even wording that right, but they definitely got, so it got some attention. And I don't remember what the status was as far as like charting or whatever the hell. It was probably off. I'm probably overstating that, but it definitely got a ton of terrestrial play and some, media attention and whatnot, mostly through Jacob and the record labels connections and whatnot. And we worked the album as much as we could. And, I'm still proud of it. It's definitely one of the top 3 albums I'm most proud of in my career, I guess, cover to cover.
Nice. You did mention kind of thinking outside the box with this band. One thing that caught my attention was when you guys released the last album. You guys had a really cool marketing thing when you guys released you released it on cassette with a Walkman. With the Walkman, it was like a special package that you guys were doing. That was like one of the coolest things I've seen. That was pretty unique, and I think I like seeing cool, like you said, thinking outside the box. That was who came up with that idea.
That was 100% not my idea. I thought it was cool that we were doing cassettes for about 20 minutes until everybody that doesn't collect cassettes started complaining that it wasn't pressed on CD, which was like 90% of everybody, respectfully. And then when we sold out of the cassettes and the Walkman combos, I was somehow delegated to packaging and orchestrating and shipping them all. And it was such a personal headache for me that I don't ever want to see one of those fucking cassettes ever again. But it was a cool thing at the time. And we like painted the Walkmans, and like we all sat in Jacob's kitchen around this big, island table, and we're painting and drawing and signing. And I think there was a limited amount, like 20, and it sold out within like a matter of days, which, it's only 20. And then we bumped it up to 50, and then we bumped it up to maybe 100. And then at that point I just was like, I'm not doing any more of these. This is a nightmare. But yeah, the cassettes thing was cool. I think it's a strange format to be back in vogue, even though I am an avid vinyl collector, but it was cool to do it. I hope someday it'll come out on CD, but currently it's only available on cassette. Here, let me do it with my radio voice. It's available on cassette. No, it's not on compact disc. Cassette, vinyl, and digital, wherever you get your fucking music. And it that's good. That's came out.
Funny. That's good though. I mean, it's a cool idea. I mean, I get how it could become a nightmare, but it's cool. It's probably a good time to play Neon Coven's "Dead to Me" then.
Sure.
So plug that in there. This is "Dead to Me" by Neon Coven.
Take the
Hey, we are back. That was Dead to Me by Neon Coven. We are hanging here with Ace Von Johnson, guitar player from Neon Coven and LA Guns. Not only is he a musician and he's a voiceover actor, and he's also a good person. He loves animals. He loves his babies. He has a pair of Pitbulls, and he is actually an advocate for Pitbulls. I used to have a Pitbull, and I think it was probably one of the most loyal, loving pets I've ever had. And I think
they usually are. I
think this breed kind of gets a bum rap, and there's like a stigma on these kind of dogs being aggressive or anything. I put it on the owner. You know what I mean?
You'd be correct.
It's assholes, training these dogs to be, they feel. I feel like there's people that get the dogs with a intent of like a look at me, I'm tough because I got this badass dog or something. You know what I mean? And it's not fair. Personally, I don't think it's fair to the animals, and it's just a fucked up thing. And I think I'm hoping you could give us some good organizations and way we could teach people and learn ourselves how to like alleviate this stigma.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I talk about it all the time. The most important thing is it's being a responsible pet owner, and B, socializing and training your pet. And when it comes to pit bull type dogs, the problem is, and I say the problem is the wrong word. The issue usually is that these types of bull terrier and English pit bull terrier, but when you say a pit bull, it's actually more of an umbrella term. It's like, I say this all the time. It's like saying you're from Europe. You could be from Amsterdam or France or, Istanbul. Yeah. It's a pretty wide scope of any dog with a muscular frame and a blockier square head. And which is a lot. I mean, I think I can't remember what the acronym is, the American Kennel, whatever the hell it is, refers to somewhere between 5 and 7 different actual types of breeds that fit under the pit bull category, but I'll spare you the record. They're mostly what you see in shelters. They're mostly Staffordshire Terrier mixes and mutts and whatnot. And the reason that people breed them to do terrible things is because they're A, strong and agile, and B, most importantly, they're such wonderful dogs in their nature that if you teach the bill, unfortunately, I have to do what Dad says. Now, most of these dogs often will not will not want to fight. None of these dogs, no dog of any breed or type is choosing to be fought, or trained that way. I mean, we've bred these dogs over tens of thousands of years to be a domestic companion, and unfortunately, some of the qualities that make them such great animals can also be exploited into making them terrible animals.
Hi, This is Darcy the Mail Girl from The Last Drive-In, and you're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show.
At the end of the day, they're just dogs. You know, it's if you take one of these dogs home and you teach it to be loved and socialized with other people and pets, you're going to have a wonderful dog. The issue is with like the media stuff. I mean, for every, unfortunately, there are dog bites and dog fatalities, not just from pit bull types, but from all kinds of large dogs, and if you look at temperament tests, you'll find that these types of dogs usually temper test very well. But it's in the hands of the owner. It's like, if you're a responsible pet owner, then you're going to have a wonderful dog. And if you're some, piece of shit who teaches their dog to, bite people or to try to, exploit it for money or fight or do terrible things, or you abuse your pet, then chances are you're going to have issues. And they found a lot of those types of things to be the root of the problems of the things that we hear about in the media, which is fortunately, I feel like, gone down, especially as people have become more educated. But ultimately, what you're looking at is a statistics thing. And because there are such an absorbent amount of these types of dogs in shelters and whatnot all over the country, predominantly, because they're overbred by terrible people or people just looking to turn a quick buck or exploit these dogs, you end up with an abundance of them, and it's not the dog's fault. And, trying to save as many as possible and get them homes and get them more importantly, get them spayed and neutered, to curb the numbers, is most important, along with education. And, ultimately the fact is that for every terrible news article you read, there's probably 10 million pit bulls out there that all they did was just be a dog. So the statistics are literally, you're more likely to be struck by lightning. And you don't hear people going like, I'm not going outside, I'm going to get struck by lightning. It's not a thing. So when people, their logic, they see, me walking down the street with my dogs and like, oh, those dogs are terrible. And I'm like, first of all, you're lost. Second of all, you couldn't be any further from the truth. So a lot of not. And if you don't like large dogs, then don't get one or don't be around one. But overall, it's, they're definitely the underdog type, and I can empathize with that. And I always send people a site. It's pitbullinfo.org. That might be plural or singular, but I think it's singular, pitbullinfo.org. And it's just got a ton of factual statistics, and it's super unbiased, to kind of shut internet that they have locking jaws and only eat babies. It's to kind of quell those people that have whatever the hell, ABC, CDC, QRX, NMOP, organizations that have data that's, whatever, accurate. I'm totally making this not sound educated at all, but there was a point where I knew what I was talking about, and I've long since lost that point. But I'm just an advocate for these dogs and rescue in general, not just a fair amount of outreach for cats and mostly kittens, and pretty much anybody, any ally to rescue and shelter, networking and allies of anything in that field. I have no problem connecting the dots, or I get tagged and stuff all day long, every day, and constantly trying to share at least, or, if you have a shelter in Poughkeepsie and somebody says, hey, I'm in upstate New York and I need to take this stray Labradoodle somewhere, I'm going to go, I've got this rescue that's in your neck of the woods. Why don't I put you in touch with so-and-so? Actually, while you were MIA here a minute ago, I had two friends meeting for drinks right now that both work at two separate rescues that just actually hit me up to meet up, which I'm not going to do. But, I try to be as active in that community as possible, and more so than the other aspects of my life, which is obviously outside of just being a musician, but the horror community as well. So that's sort of my passion project, really, is if I could, outside of music and voiceover and horror, outside of those things, I try to focus mostly on the dog rescue stuff.
I'll definitely make sure people listening will notice that I'm having serious connection issues. So there's going to be some spotty sections in this interview, but I kind of didn't catch the website you mentioned, but I'll make sure to get that from you, and I'll post it with the episode and everything, so that way people can just click on it and go right to it and check it out and see how they can help.
It's a good little one-stop for just facts rather than like it's not a rescue looking get people to take their dogs or anything like that, or I'm biased in favor of these types of dogs. It's just sort of an unbiased factual site with some information. And then there's a ton of great rescue groups out there that I try to reference all the time, like Stand Up for Pits and Pinups and Pitbulls, Pity and Pink, Blockhead Brigade in Long Beach, Angel City Pits. I mean, there's so many of them, and unfortunately I don't have a list at my disposal right this second, but if you're interested in more Pitbull info or looking at dogs, I guarantee you there's a shelter full of them within a minute of you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, definitely I encourage people to get out and do what they can, even if you can't take in an animal, you don't have the space or the means, just spread the word. I mean, donate to these organizations, anything.
Networking and donations is critical. And then also another thing that people I think forget is always an option is fostering. I mean, maybe, especially with COVID, I mean, there's been so many instances where, someone might foster a pet for only a short period of time, and they're able to, you're able to foster temporarily, especially with COVID. It was great. There were so many people taking home pets, even if they could only keep them for a month or 3 or 6. And then you figure from that, there's always a huge percentage of people, such as myself, where they call it foster failing, where you take home a pet and go, I'll just let this dog live here for 3 months. And then 3 months go by and you go, I don't want to give the dog away. So you keep it.
Yeah.
So
that's probably how it would work for me. If I had space, I would definitely take in another animal. We have a dog. He's just a small, he's like a mix. He's like a Chihuahua and like a wiener dog kind of mix. I mean, he thinks he's a big dog, but
they usually do.
Yeah, he's the boss. His name's Hero, and he thinks he's the boss. But yeah, that's cool, man. Like I said, people do help how you can. We'll make sure we get some links up for sure, because these they're beautiful animals. They're like people, man. They're family. Our pets are our family.
Absolutely. Yes.
More than just a pet, or more than just just I don't know. It's tough. It's a sad situation, and I think it's too many assholes out there. Yeah. It's kind of it depresses me thinking about it and talking about it. But let's kind of cheer things up a little bit and mention the love for horror.
Yeah.
Go from horrible people to horror.
I was about to dive into that, actually. I wanted to ask you something. It's a mix of horror and music. Is there a horror movie that you wish you could do the scoring for? Or is there one, just a favorite that stands out that you just love the music of, that just is special to you for some reason?
Yeah. I mean, like, you mean, is there a movie that I wish I could have gone back and scored instead of whoever did it?
Yes.
Oh God. No, only because, not really, because I'm not the guy to score a film. However, in a similar sense, if I wish I could have a song of my own on a soundtrack, it would definitely be Return to the Living Dead. Just because that's like my favorite, not score, but like, mixed, like various artists sort of soundtrack. But, I mean, I would love to contribute music to a film. I mean, I have indirectly a few times where I've had songs and, whether it's TV or film, but it wasn't ever like, I don't think I've ever actually I've never scored something for a film until this year. I wrote something with somebody, and I can't talk about it at all because it would fully give it away. But it's probably like the most fucking obvious thing ever. And so next year there'll be something that comes out that's horror related that I have a song in that was actually written for that.
But when it happens, maybe you can pop back in and talk to us about it then.
Sure. I don't know I don't know what the protocol is like when this airs or whatever comes out or whatever you want to call it. So I don't know if like I get mentioned or what, but I'm sure once it's out, I will definitely be talking about it. So yeah, I think I answered the question.
Right. Where you were involved in I'm not sure if it's out yet or coming soon, a documentary about music and horror, weren't you?
Oh yeah, heavy metal and what is it? The history of horror and heavy metal or something like that.
Right.
I don't know anything about that. I just know that they're touring it now. It's sort of like in its post-production phases. I do know that they filmed a segment with me from it like so long ago that I don't even remember what the hell I talked about. It must have been, it was probably like 7 years ago. Right. So it's so like, all I know is I saw still of me from it. And I was like, it doesn't even look like me.
You're going to watch it and then you're going to be like, the fuck is this guy talking about? Like,
yeah, this guy's an asshole. But yeah, I don't know anything about it. It's like I said, unfortunately, it's been so long. I don't even know I don't remember anybody's name or anything about it. I don't remember what we discussed. But I am a lifelong horror movie fan. I mean, it goes, whenever I get asked, I usually bring it up. So it's nothing new, but my dad raised me on horror movies. I was watching them at a young age, you know, a child. And my cousin is a movie director. His name's Mark Lester. He did Class of '84 and what's that fucking Drew Barrymore movie? The Stephen King one.
Oh, Firestarter.
Yeah, Firestarter. Okay. He directed Firestarter. Wow, Firestarter. He directed Commando. He directed Class of '99, which is a sequel to '84. And when that was done in the late 80s, I was on set for the sort of climax as a little boy. And so there are all these little elements of horror going on around me as like a, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kid. And so obviously I gravitate, as original was a 56 Angry Red Planet back there. I mean, there's I don't know if you can see, as a Creature Walks Among Us, 50, what is that? 59, 56, I can't remember. Original, my one sheet collection, because I'm a fucking nerd, but like, it's just a big part of my life. And so that's where it kind of started. But yeah, definitely an OG.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's definitely about being a nerd. Like I'm surrounded by Frankenstein toys, and like behind me there's pictures of horror hosts. It's
yeah, I love it.
I think it's become at one point, I guess it could have been considered nerdy, but now it's just like nerds. We're the cool people now. So
yeah, it's definitely flipped. I mean, a lot of the stuff, and I'm sure you guys can relate, a lot of stuff that I'm into now at this time in society or socially or pop culture, I should say, wise, the stuff that I like now is the stuff that even I have friends with kids and whatever. They're like, oh, my 15-year-old really loves Bela Lugosi. And I'm like, when I was in middle school, everybody was like, this guy's a fucking dork, Yeah. And so, I just like a lot of us, it's like a very heavy personal sentiment for a lot of it. So I think it's cool that you can walk into Walmart and buy a Frankenstein shirt, because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it wasn't that readily available.
I mean, we definitely have our little horror community, but it's also just nice that it seems like it's grown a little bit more, as opposed to back in the day. Like you could be a fan of something, but maybe you didn't talk about it quite as much.
Totally.
Whereas now, like, everybody's discussing The Walking Dead and, all kinds of like horror sci-fi shit. So
yeah,
it's nice how the tables have turned.
Yeah, I like it. And I don't like gatekeeping. I mean, I might, some things I might mentally, personally feel that way, but I'm not going to be like, oh, well, that I liked it before you did, and so you're I just don't have time. I don't like that. I don't agree with it. But Yeah, if you're a fan, you're a fan, and you don't have to be married to it or whatever. I think it's cool. I think it's really neat seeing people pop up that are interested in, Vincent Price or I'm trying to think deep here, like I mentioned Giallo movies earlier or whatever it is, and rather than, even, and it's like this with music too, but like as much as I detested the Twilight franchise, it was cool that it introduced some tweens in middle America to like vampire culture and horror films. And
it did put that element of horror in mainstream.
Totally. It's like gateway horror. So, and it all serves its purpose. So it's cool. I like that it's become such a big part of our pop culture, like everybody on earth knows who Freddy Krueger is. That's awesome.
Yeah. And now we're seeing more, like we mentioned, Halloween Kills. That was like one of the big blockbuster films this year. And it's a horror film. Early next year, we're getting the Scream movie. That's going to be
a hit. And they're doing so well because horror nerds like us are coming out in droves to support.
Yep, that's what we need. But yeah, I was noticing the poster collection though when you're walking around through your place, and it looks like you got some nice pieces there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, do you pick up a lot of those posters on the road?
Surprisingly, no. I think maybe only a handful. And I don't know how many are up in the house. I'm going to say 20 or so. It's so damn expensive.
Oh yeah.
But like even I have this bat 3-sheet here. I know the people listening can't see, but like this thing's 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So, getting stuff like that framed and whatnot can be pricey. And only a couple of them I really put some money into, like the Angry Red Planet and the Creature Walks Among Us. I mean, those frames are almost as much as the fucking artwork in them themselves, which is absurd. But mostly I get them through.
Sorry to lose you again. You're saying you get them mostly from collectors and like auction houses and stuff.
Yeah,
that
was it.
Basically,
that was the end of it.
Have you ever seen, not to go off topic of your stuff, but have you seen the collection that Kirk Hammett tours with?
I have. Yeah. I've seen Kirk's stuff several times, and it's very impressive. As you would imagine, someone who's got more money than God would have.
Yeah.
He's definitely sort of the pinnacle of one-sheet collectors, etc., day bills and all that.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, I guess if I had that kind of money, I would probably have a collection like that too. But
absolutely.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Most of my shit is reprints and like, you know what I mean? Like, I got reprint like old Frankenstein poster. I got like Creature from Black Lagoon, signed by Rico Browning. Which is,
that's cool.
I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm happy with it, but I don't got the budget to be.
I had a bunch of reprint stuff when I was younger, and as I started getting older and like getting to a point where I could have nicer stuff, like I have now. I'm the snob. Like you can see the Creature.
That right there, that was amazing. That Creature Walks Among Us poster. I wish people could see it. If you want to see it, Google Creature Walks Among Us poster and
the Creature. There's that one, and then there's this double bill from the 70s, I think. 72, yeah, with It Came from Outer Space and Creature both in 3D. And then I've got this Universal, I can't remember what year this came out. It was a UK quad sheet, which is why Basil Rathbone is billed above Karloff, but this is for Son of Frankenstein.
Right. And
then these are like my good ones. And then there's my House on Haunted Hill French Grand. That's about 5 feet tall.
Wow.
So those are my my expensive ones here in the hall, and I've put some money into it. I'd like insure them all and all this nonsense like an adult, which I hate. But aside from all the other nonsense I talked about, it's definitely a sort of subtle hobby of mine. But I've pretty much got all my holy grail pieces now, so I think I'm done collecting. Even though I keep telling myself that every time
you say that, but then something will pop up and you'll be like, "Oh, I need it."
Yeah, and I'm hoarding them.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Do you just the posters, or you collect any other kind of horror memorabilia or statues?
No,
or
just because I
action
don't really
figures?
have room. I mean, you can't really tell what's in it, but I have a curio.
Right.
I know I'm ruining it for the audience, but there's a curio full of just random stuff, including some, stuff from films and toys and collectibles and a lot of like skulls and weird taxidermy shit. But I cut back on collecting pretty much everything other than vinyl and one sheets about 5 years ago. So for a while, I was like amassing all these toys, mostly not because I was buying them, but because people would bring them to me, which was awesome. But I ended up with these boxes in storage of just like full of like, these people are even this month, people send me stuff and I'm like, I love it, but I don't have room for it. B, I'm almost 40 and I just trying to keep it like, I just don't want a house full of toys, I guess, personally.
Right.
And so in my office upstairs, there's a couple like key pieces.
Yeah.
They're collector's items and collectibles.
Yeah, they're not toys, they're collectible.
Yeah. But I mean,
exactly.
Pretty much just keep it to the one sheets and day bills and stuff like that. And there's about, like I said, maybe 20 of them framed throughout the house.
I was saying it kind of sucks having all that stuff in storage and everything, because you want to have the space to display it. So what's the point of having it if you can't enjoy it and share it?
Exactly.
That's how I feel about my Funko Pop collection. Most of them is here, but most of my collection is in storage. And I mean, you forget what you have half the time.
You're doing that during COVID. I started inventorying or cataloging all my records, and now I have them all cataloged, like all 812 of them or whatever it is. And it just, I don't want my hobby to become, I don't want it to feel like it's work.
Right.
But like even the one sheets, I mean, I have however many up, but I've got probably 100 of them. The cool thing is that they fold up into little squares and then they stack this tall. So it's easy for me to be like, oh, that, House of Drip Blood one sheet's only $60. I'm never going to frame it, but I need it. And then I buy it, I look at it, and then I write down that I have it, and then I fold it up, put it in a slip, and it goes in my fucking closet.
Yeah. And then eventually, when you got the big mansion with the 50 rooms, you'll be able to put them all up.
Yeah, that. I wouldn't mind having one more room, but hopefully I don't expand too much. Otherwise, it'll be like the Winchester mystery house of horror movie one sheets, where I can't stop putting them on walls and stuff.
You ever thought of like trying to set up a viewing at like a gallery or something to show off some of your stuff? And
no, only because it means I'd have to pull them off my walls. Some acquaintances of mine over the years have done like, pop-up shops and some stores in the LA area and stuff like that. There's supposed to be a horror movie museum opening in LA, I think next year. Yeah. And I volunteered to donate some pieces too, just because they're, like I said, they're just sitting. Right. So that might be the case. But all my favorite pieces are here, and they're like mounted to the wall and not going anywhere. Like those big, French Grands. I've got 3 of them, and they're literally like zipped into the wall. Like it'd just be such a hassle to get them out of here. So no, I mean, and it's not such a collection where like it would be worth touring or whatever, but I have no problem, sending pictures or whatever to people if they're curious. And it's people, I'll be tweeting with somebody and they'll be like, oh, I'm a fan of this movie. And I'll be like, check it out. I'm like, I happen to have, like, don't ever mention Monster Club to me. I almost said Monster Squad. Monster Club to me, because I have literally every single. There's a UK. No, that's Australian. England is in there. Spain is upstairs, and the German one is behind the House on Haunted Hill one. So I've got like the market cornered on Monster Club stuff here.
That's nice, man. I'm impressed with the collection. That's pretty cool. I wish everybody could see it. Sorry, guys, but it's cool. It's as cool as it sounds. It's as cool as it sounds.
I definitely enjoy walking around here, like I said, with my coffee mug with like whatever water or orange juice, and just like in the morning, being like, yeah, it's pretty fun, cool, man. Cool. Yeah, I fucking live here. This is cool. I like this.
Yeah, that's
I'm
me.
a nerd. I can't help it.
I do that. I just sit here and sometimes we have this spare room, office, storage room that's the podcast room as well. I keep all like my eBay stuff and everything else in here, and I just kind of chill out sometimes and just enjoy the quiet with a cup of coffee and just like look at my stuff and like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah. I earned it. Okay. Yep. Well, it's kind of my lady kind of has her spot in here too, though. She works in the beauty industry, so she has like this whole area full of thousands and thousands of dollars of like makeup, and that shit's expensive. Oh, cool. That's expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Glad I don't have to wear any.
Yeah, they think that our video games are expensive, or our little toys. I'm sorry, not toys, action figures and collectibles that we enjoy collecting and purchasing. They think that shit's expensive. Their makeup is expensive.
Yeah, like you pay $50 for that Frankenstein doll, but and then it's like, no, it's not a doll. First of all, it's a collectible.
Yeah,
and you just
collectible figurine.
You just paid $50 for that tiny little half-ounce tube of shit you put on your eyeballs or something. Like, no.
Yeah,
and I'll be able to enjoy this Frankenstein figurine forever.
Yep,
true, very true,
forever. But we brought up the Mutant Fam earlier. This episode is going to air after. But you hyped for Joe Bob this weekend?
Oh yeah, Friday, right?
Friday night. Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
And I guess they picked a movie. Joe Bob and Darcy, I guess they both picked a movie that each other wanted to play. As like they said they gifted it to each other. So like,
oh, that's cool.
So he picked a movie that she wanted, and she picked one that he wanted, and they're gonna run them. So that's cool, man. I'm excited. Been a lot of good from the whole community and just the horror community in general. Like they're the most
absolutely.
They're the most like dedicated fans.
Yeah, I see that, and I think it's a really cool, like the hashtag Mutant Fam thing's like really cool. It's like a really cool little community.
Yeah,
and it's been really cool getting to interact with everybody there and just talk about stuff, horror, whether it's the movie that's airing or whatever people are sharing or talking about. It's been really
that's some of the best times when they're running the movies and just people just riffing on the movies or just enjoying or sharing facts, and it's a good time, man. Something to look forward to. It's like, being a kid waiting for your favorite show to come on every week. It's like an event to look forward to every week. And totally. I'm sure it's probably that community's probably opened a door by you being so interactive. It's probably opened a door to new fans for your music and stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I can't say for sure, but it's definitely been cool to interact with new people that are like, oh, I've heard of your band or whatever, but I'm just there as a fan,
right?
So it's cool to just interact with other fans, and see people pop up, whether they're from all walks of life. I guess it's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a good community. So what is you got the new album out. You're chilling with your family, your dogs, and doing stuff for that scene. What else is going on? What's new? What is coming up? Anything exciting going to be happening that you want to mention or share or plug?
No.
Just go buy the album, watch Joe Bob.
Yeah, sit around, watch Joe Bob. I mean, it's the end of the year, so I'm pretty much just I've been traveling every weekend for the last month and a half, so I'm looking forward to not having to travel at least until New Year's. So I've got about 2 weeks to just enjoy being in my house for a minute again. There's a couple things coming up, but not really working heavily or touring till summer. I don't know. Nothing jumps out at me, and the things that do jump out at me, I can't even talk about. So,
this case, where tell people, tell people where to find you on social media and your website. So when you can announce that stuff, they'll be there to.
Yeah. everything you can think of is on my website. It's acevonjohnson.com. I'm on Instagram and Twitter, although I don't really use Instagram very much, both at Ace Von Johnson, ACEVONJOHNSON. I don't have Facebook. I don't want Facebook. I hate Facebook. I have a Patreon I do that's been really great, a really awesome community. I've got about 65 people going in there strong for the last 2 years. So if anyone's into that sort of fan subscription stuff, I'm constantly cranking out content, whether it's tour behind the scenes stuff or, you know, talking about influential albums, or I talk about horror movies a lot. And there's all kinds of shit there that's been really fun and a cool little community. So if anyone's into that, they can check me out on Patreon. And that's it. Just, you know, writing and recording music and doing voiceover stuff and trying to be an advocate for blockhead dogs all over the place and hang out with my friends and living my best life, right?
There you go. That's what it's all about, man.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Well, I thank you for taking time. Sorry we had some glitchy spots, but people are still gonna dig it. People are gonna enjoy, you know, hearing about you and your stuff.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Steve.
Especially the Mutant fam.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Hey, this is Dr. Gangrene. You're watching the Steve. No, you're not. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show right here on whatever network you're on. I don't know what you're on. Don't ask me. I can't see what you're doing, but keep listening and tune in next week for more cool content on the Steve and Crypto Show.
Hey, we're back. That was a great chat with Ace. It was awesome having him on. Such a good conversation. We had to kind of break it down into 2 episodes. And we'll definitely have him come back at some point sooner or later. It sounds like he has some little projects in the works that we hope to get him here to promote down the road. And that's going to about wrap up episode 58. You know, of course, we'll be back 59 with a lot of fun stuff to talk about, including the Book of Boba Fett series, which launches this week.
I'm so excited. My lady better get home soon so I can watch it because I'm about to start it without her. Don't tell her I said that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her right now. Just kidding.
She's such a huge Star Wars fan.
Come back next week and hang out with us. And in the meantime, go visit our Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/Steve Crypto. Hit us on social media. Join the Steve and Crypto Show Facebook group, and we now have the Patreon page, patreon.com/Steve Crypto. Watch out,
fun content coming your way over there.
There's going to be some cool stuff very soon. Hopefully, as soon as this weekend, we'll have a fun little mini episode on there talking about some games. Yeah, man, that's about it for this week. Anything you want to throw out there before we call it a 58?
I think 58 is done. Catch us on 59. We'll be feeling fine. We'll be over there.
Is that like a teaser for next week's rhyme? I think you do better than it.
I want to give it away.
I think you can do better than it.
Yeah, that was a weak one. So I gave him that one early. Yeah, I got a week.
All right. Now I'm waiting for people to start like just messaging us like, hey, when you get to episode 73, you should say this. And like, if somebody gives us some good ideas, send us good ideas. If you come up with some cool rhyme ideas for upcoming episodes, send it. And if we like
we will use them and we will,
if we like it and use it, we'll give you a shout out and send you some stickers or something. But and yes, we've been the Steve and Crypto Show. We'll see you in 59.